Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to the channel. I just got done with my Tesla video. It's uploading right now, so make sure you go check that out. Talk about some of the history of Tesla, the stock, as well as some of the news that's correlated with it, and tying it together with technicals to show that news isn't everything. And sometimes, I don't know, sometimes magically, news aligns with technicals pretty well. So that's a pretty interesting video, so go check that out. And yeah, let's get into AMC. So, like we talked about yesterday, I'm pretty, I'm pretty much in the same spot. Like I feel like I'm kind of gonna make somewhat of the same video. So if you want to see a more in-depth version of this, maybe just go watch the other video from yesterday to see some of my other sentiment. But for now, I just want to talk about specifically what I'm most convicted on, what I think is most likely to occur, and how I see it playing out. Something to keep in mind for tomorrow is that obviously the week is ending early because the market is closed on Friday, December 24th, in observance of Christmas. So just keep that in mind. So tomorrow is when max pain occurs, okay? What I would like to see is my main scenario that I've been talking about play out tomorrow early, and then us have a swing up into max pain. And so what I want it to look like, what I think I would like to see is I would like to actually see us open pretty red, come down to this 27, maybe even come down to this 25.50 or even as low as this 24. But I'd prefer to stay above this 25.50 at this point and then bounce up. And this would be like a localized accumulation that would occur pretty quickly before we bounce up. And then maybe we bounce up, boom, like this. And again, don't worry too much about the time frame. It's kind of hard to see. So maybe it would look something like this by end of day. And then this is how we close right around this 29. And the reason that I would like this is because to me, this is pretty much how I see the schematic at this point from a Wyckoff standpoint. Okay, you have a sell climax here, very high volume sell off, an automatic reaction, a sell test before a sell test in phase B. You have this phase B distribution that played out. Then you have a spring come up, test, right at this key Fibonacci level. You can see here. You draw from the bottom here to the top here. Boom, you get your test at the 382. And again, I would like to see perhaps this. Boom. Maybe this is like a little bit of a Fibonacci retracement from this level, or you can measure it from here and it becomes your 0.5 Fibonacci, you see? And the reason that I want to see this is because I want us to localize this distribution, finish it off, okay? Because I do see this as a distribution. You have higher volume here at the beginning. You have a higher upthrust with lower volume. So this is just overall, this move here was very weak comparatively to this, okay? That's, to me, a signal that institutions want the price to go back down. I would like to see the price go back down before we have another swing up. We stop out here. And then going into next week, I would like to see this basically have a sign of strength where we break the trading range. We go up to 35-ish, okay? And then we come back and test this 32. We kind of do the same accumulation sort of thing here before we have another markup phase to like $40. I would like to see this play out in this manner. This is how, because this would be your sign of strength eventually, and then this would be your backup LPS phase in the Wyckoff accumulation, okay, in the broader Wyckoff accumulation, okay, and this makes for the overall spring / terminal shakeout phase of the Wyckoff accumulation that started all the way back here, right? And this being the top of the trading range, and then this being the bottom of the trading range here. So we're at a really key level here, right? I think that it would be good for the stock to get a swing down before a swing up here just to gain some momentum. Get that higher volume kicking in whenever you swing right above the trading range. Come back here, have some low volume days, a little bit of boring action going into the end of the year. And then you begin to mark up going into the beginning of the year. That's how I would like to see it play out. And then The next thing would be basically you'd probably come back down here, mess around here for a little while before swinging up. Boom, 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 boom. And then here, and then this is where the price swings could get really aggressive really fast, right? So where does that put us? Like end of January. I mean, it's pretty significant date there. But like this is the sort of trading that I would like to see for AMC at this point. I feel like if we haven't bottomed out yet, and you can go look at the other scenarios that I have, too much red going on here. Let me change like some of the support to green so it's a little bit easier to. Dude, everything's red, bro. I don't know what's good or bad. So we'll change this to white. That's easier to see. White. So this is kind of the market phases that I would like to see play out. And then that would turn this into like a more macro sell climax. You would almost you'd say this is your automatic reaction, your sell test in phase B. Then you would have a phase B distribution like we've talked about before. I still pretty much feel the same way about most of the chart. Then you have another phase B distribution right here. Oop. Before you went into your phase C. And I'll draw a vertical line here. Right? And then this. So this was all just a phase B. Okay? All of this. In this scenario, right? If this ends up playing out, and then this is your phase C, and then this sign of strength would be a sign of strength out of phase C before you begin phase D, which is this this phase of, you know, going up, testing a new trading range. And normally these trading ranges are going to be key levels, right? So you can see here, actually I drew this on purpose this way. So boom, see how this is kind of like a key region where we found support before? I mean, I kind of just like eyeballed it, but you kind of get used to these sorts of like moves, I guess. You see here, it acted to support a bunch of times on that line, right? Resistance here a bunch of times. Boom, you break through, you come back down, and then you test this like just overall the entire schematic. This is how I would like to see it play out for AMC. Like this is the bullish scenario. Like again, I've said over and over this week, and if you want to go watch my other videos to see what my other potential scenarios are outside of this one, you can. But I've said pretty much from the beginning of this week, and I think even like the end of last week, what I thought was most likely is that we come back down, we test the 24 to 26 sort of region on this weaker volume here, but the volume overall is very powerful, right? And so what that means to me is even if we did go lower briefly and this became a phase B distribution like I've discussed in the past, and you can see, man, like look, we had I think it was like 7 or 8% down here. Look, the volume is just trailing off, man. Like bears are just not in control, right? Like that's what this is signaling to me. I'm very confident. We'll take a look at OBV, but even if this came down and had a phase B distribution and ended up having a spring here where we went to like 1950 or something, and then I even said, even if we swung down all the way to 1450 or something like that, and everybody's so mad at me talking about me in people's discords or whatever, even if that happened, this region of the chart here for me is validation. Okay, like I am seeing this, and of course nothing is guaranteed, but this region of the chart with the volume upticking the way that it has over the course of the past couple weeks, while we've been in this part of the trading range, is validation for me that institutions are saying, hey, we want to send this stock up, we just want more of it before we do. Like that is, there's never been a more clear time in my history covering AMC where, like for you guys, where I've felt more convicted that institutions are now stepping in and saying, hey, we don't want this to go lower, okay? And again, as always, man, I could always be wrong. So make sure that you're doing your own research. You're coming up with your own conclusions. I'm just a piece of the puzzle, right? But let's look at on balance volume, see what the effect was on today. you can see here, and I know everybody's talking about on balance volume now. You can see here that we're going to come back here and test this sort of key region. On the daily, we got rejected at this this local high here from back here in November. The 4 hour, I'm sure that the 4 hour probably looks a lot much more bullish. I'm not saying that that wasn't bullish, by the way. I actually feel like that was bullish. Because the price is going so much lower, but the on balance volume is making, you know, getting to higher points, which is bullish. It means that there's likely institutions accumulating. That's what on balance volume going up means, especially when it's disconnected from price. You can see here, let's see. Let's go to the all-time high in June, right? All-time high in June. We stuck above it. We're coming back down here, and we're kind of testing this region, aren't we? Yeah, so if we have another, well, would it be a red day though? It depends on what happens post and pre-market, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, if tomorrow comes in, like if we pump in the pre-market, let's just assume that that's what's going to happen. We pump in the pre-market, and then somehow it gets to like $29.50, $30, and then boom, comes back down, has this big price swing, and then closes around 29. The net result of that on the on-balance volume would be this. Boop. Come back and test this basic resistance on on-balance volume, right? And then going into the next week, you could see this. Boom, create a new higher high. And then you start to just create these higher highs on the 4 hour OBV. That's exactly what you want to see. Tie that in with the other scenario that I gave. Again, overall, I'm very bullish on AMC. I think there's a little bit more price action that needs to happen where we clear up these zones. We confirm these zones, if you will. You can see here, man. Like, look on the 4 hour, right? See back here in June for the run up. This is a key zone right here, guys. Like, this is so good. We come here, we do a little bit of trading here, bounce back up in this 29, build up on the VPVR. Let's pull up the VPVR right quick. Volume profile. Let's add some time to it. And if you're not familiar with let's just go to like 100 row size, so it's a little bit more detailed. All right. If you're not familiar with VPVR, basically it's just volume vertical by price. Basically what you're trying to do here is you're trying to find liquidity. Okay, so anywhere that is like further to the right, like it doesn't have as much, is basically a zone that is just low traded. So the stock hasn't proven itself in that price region, right? And so us coming down and testing these regions and proving ourselves between $24 and $28 historically. Let's go look at like the all-time chart just to show you. Right? This is a key region. If we can nail this down, then basically we're saying, okay, yeah, this is cemented as the bottom. We build up the VPVR. All of this is already traded, right? This isn't going to be very heavy resistance on the way up. You're gonna basically, it's gonna be like a vacuum to come up to this $49 region at this point, in my opinion, to test this lower liquidity zone once you get that swing up eventually, right? So that's kind of my conviction when it comes to AMC. Hopefully it wasn't too all over the place. Hopefully you picked up something along the way in this video, learned something new. Again, go check out my Tesla video. I do a little bit more work with Fibonacci's in that video. So if you need like a refresher on that, you want to see how some interesting ways that Fibonacci's work and how they align with news sometimes, go check that out. And that's pretty much it. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching the video, and have a good one. Peace.